Tonight on Connecticut's news station, severe flooding hitting communities across the state hard. We'll take you to New London County, where residents are just starting to clean up after mandatory evacuations were issued.
And what nobody wants to hear about, more rain in the forecast heading into this weekend. We've got the details coming up.
And flooding remains an ongoing problem in Hartford. Find out about a fund designed to help capital city residents cope with flood damage that's leaving some business owners high and dry.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We begin tonight on the flooding disaster in Norwich and Bozra, a mix of heavy rain and melting snow leaving behind a path of destruction and compromising a local dam. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden. We've been watching the floodwaters since they started rising early this morning. The Yantic River swelling to levels that haven't been seen in more than 40 years. It rose 10 feet in just 10 hours, prompting officials to issue a mandatory evacuation notice for much of the day. Residents were allowed back home around 5 this evening. Emergency crews had to rescue some people trapped inside buildings as parking lots turned to ponds. That was the case at this Domino's restaurant off the New London Turnpike. One man who was removed by boat said he got stuck inside while checking on another business next door.
We got here at 6 a.m. There was probably 9 inches of water in the building at that point. And over the next 3 hours, the water level kept raising until there was 3 feet of water in the building. We were sitting on tables and countertops just to keep dry in there.
This is the worst flooding they've ever seen in that area. Much more to get to tonight, specifically about the dam that was partially compromised. But first, we want to get a check on the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rach, we're looking at a quiet couple of days here, but another round of rain on the horizon, right?
Yeah, we really do want to stress that we get to push the pause button and get a breather for the next couple of days. But it's Friday night into Saturday that we get the next round of heavy rain in here. So no rest for the weary. I wanted to touch base on the current flood warning. So the Yantic River, which previously crested earlier at major flood stage, is down now at moderate flood stage and continues to fall. But major flooding still ongoing for the Still River and Brookfield. And we're actually seeing the Farmington River and Housatonic rivers continuing to climb. They'll crest tomorrow, likely continuing in minor flood stage. We love to see this on the radar tonight. Nothing out there. If we widen out the picture, you'll see a few snow showers. Those will miss us. Right now, temperatures are in the 40s. It is incredibly mild. Even now at 10 o'clock across the state, 47 in New Haven. We are even right now continuing to melt some of those snow piles that were left after the last storm. And winds continue to slowly diminish, although you're still hearing them rustling the trees in Groton right now, close to 30 miles per hour. Overnight, we'll see temperatures fall back into the low to mid 30s as we head towards daybreak. Any areas of standing water could freeze over, but the main roads and secondary roads and anything treated should be fine. Otherwise, it's a nice mild day for January. Highs in the low to mid 40s. We'll do it again on Friday before rain returns Friday night. We'll talk about how much this time, your full forecast coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Back to Bozra now, where officials are still carefully watching a dam that was compromised early this morning. Tonight, we're learning it has a history of neglect. Fox 61's Matt Caron has more on the efforts underway to keep it from breaching.
Well, behind me is the Fitchville Pond Dam. Its purpose? To hold back the water of the Yantic River. But about 7 o'clock this morning, just couldn't handle that anymore. Raging floodwaters came flowing around the side, creating a very real concern that there could be an imminent catastrophic failure.
The left abutment was leaking from this dam, something we hadn't seen before.
Following a 7 a.m. breach of the Fitchville Pond Dam, mandatory evacuation orders were issued for parts of Norwich and Bozra as the Yantic River raged a full 4 feet beyond critical flood stage. Backyards turned into ponds.
Somehow the river overflowed, came right down our driveway, swept through all of this, ended up in our backyard.
And basements into swimming pools.
Bozra Fire Department was nice enough to bring us this super industrial strength pump.
It's just remarkable. People are telling me they've never seen Yantic River as full as it is today. This goes back to the flooding of 1938 and maybe Noah.
The dam itself, built in 1840, then rebuilt in 1880, is deemed a high hazard dam, meaning its catastrophic failure would cause loss of life.
It's higher than I've ever seen it. I've lived here for 3 years, and I lived across the street for 3 years before that, and I've never in my life seen the river even touch this level.
The dam breach forced Norwich Public Utilities to shut down an electrical substation, leaving 5,000 residents in the dark for what could be several days.
It's a very much a minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour situation. So we've got 5,000 people right now without power, wondering if they're going to be able to have a hot meal tonight or take a shower if they get home from work.
As for the dam itself, we learned it's privately owned by Seymour Sand and Gravel.
There's a history of enforcement action on this dam, yes.
Private owners are required to hire a licensed engineer and submit emergency action plans to the state.
This dam does not have an emergency action plan.
The dam was last inspected by the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection in 2022. Multiple issues were discovered.
There was problems with the dams, and we've been monitoring this dam during storms, and we keep an eye on it.
As for what comes next, state officials tell me they're going to be building a temporary second dam in front of the original one. What that's going to allow them to do is to siphon or suck out all of the water in between the two dams. Engineers and other crews are going to be able to have access to the bottom of the structure to be able to go down and see exactly what needs to be repaired. Reporting in Bozra, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Matt, thank you. Elsewhere around the state, check out the conditions in Middletown near Pamicha Pond. Officials say a dam there partially breached, causing water flow issues in that area. Drone video and pictures shared with Fox 61 show the impact of the dam break in the pond that sits right along South Main Street in Middletown. Crews are working to make repairs to the break in the dam now. In East Hampton, the storm combined with snowmelt destroyed a bridge on Wapawag Road. Take a look here at this damage. Officials with the town say this is the portion of the road just south of Tarsia Road, and they're asking all locals to avoid the area and warn that stretch of road will be closed for the foreseeable future until the town is able to perform a proper repair. And while notoriously flood-prone areas in Hartford did not feel as much of an impact this week, residents there have dealt with flooding for decades. Today, state leaders updated the public on a new flood damage compensation program. Fox 61's Emma Wolforst has the story you'll only see here on Connecticut's news station.
This is not right. We see the disparities. We see the discrimination.
Flooding isn't new for Hartford residents, especially those in the North End.
Even on good storms, where there's minimal impact, that doesn't mean much to residents who right now have flooded basements, who are dealing with impacts on their own homes.
While Tuesday's storm didn't bring much new flooding to the capital city, advocates and state officials agree people are still hurting.
This is a health hazard that has been taking place for over 35 years in North Hartford.
During the 2023 legislative session, the state appropriated $5 million for the Hartford Flood Compensation Program, a new endeavor overseen by the state comptroller's office meant to provide financial assistance to residents who experienced flood damage after January 1st, 2021.
$1 million of the program has gone out so far to people who have been waiting for a very, very long time for a little bit of relief.
Since the program launched 3 months ago, there have been 348 applicants, with 100 people approved for funding so far.
We want to make sure that everyone gets the help that they've been waiting for and that the help that we all know that they deserve.
But some advocates say a lot of people who deserve this help aren't getting it. Last month, the Legal Defense Fund sent this letter to the Speaker of the House, claiming the program is discriminatory.
They have excluded all the businesses in Hartford if the owners do not live and work in Hartford, and they pay taxes.
Local business owner Morris Hardaway was told he's not eligible for flood damage done to his Hartford storage company because he lives in Windsor.
We pretty much gave up after the last meeting.
Wednesday, lawmakers say they will look into this next session.
I'm sure with the leadership we have, we can find those resources to make sure everyone is included.
Reporting in Hartford, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, 3 families are without a home tonight after fire broke out at an apartment building in Enfield. Firefighters responded to this multifamily building on South Street just before 4 p.m. today. Crews say it took about 30 minutes to knock down the flames, and they were able to prevent the fire from spreading beyond the apartment it sparked in. Unfortunately, a dog was killed in that fire. The Red Cross is now assisting the displaced families, and the cause of the fire is under investigation.